Okay guys, today I'm going to show you how to cut snowflakes. So you'll need a piece of paper, some scissors, and a pencil or a pen, okay? So we're going to start with just a regular piece of paper, kind of like a piece of printer paper, or you can use a piece of notebook paper. And you're going to draw a big circle in the middle. Try to go as big as you can. And it's okay if it's not a perfect circle, okay? You don't need to go find something like circular to cut around, okay? Now you're gonna cut out your circle. It's okay if it's a little crooked. You're gonna end up cutting a lot of it off anyways, okay? Try to keep your scraps like contained so that you don't make a huge mess. I like to kind of crumple them up and then just, put them on my desk a little out of the way. Okay, now that we have our circle, we want to fold it in half. Okay. Fold it in half again by lining up the corners, holding it down with one finger, and then pressing down, and then press down along this edge, okay? That's how you get a really nice fold. The third thing you're gonna do, you wanna fold it again. This one's gonna feel a little bit harder because now you're folding several pieces of paper, but you're gonna line this corner up with this corner. Hold it with your finger and then press down as best you can. Oh. See, it's even hard for me. There you go. So that when you're done, it almost looks like a pizza slice, okay? That's the shape that you're going for. Now, this first one that we're doing is the easiest one because we're not even going to draw any shapes to cut out. I just wanted to show you that this is kind of the starter for your snowflake. So once you have this little slice of pizza, you can just experiment and see what happens when you cut different shapes into it. Okay? For example, I'm just going to cut out little triangles all along the edge. Now make sure you leave space between your cuts. See that little section? If you don't leave space between your cuts, you're not going to get a snowflake. What you're going to get is like 3 or 4 just pieces of cut paper because you need to have this edge intact in order for it to open up into like a snowflake. Okay, so I'm just cutting like slanted lines in it, like triangles. But if you wanted to see what happens if you cut like semicircles like this, it's a little bit harder to do, but you can cut any shape out of the edge of your little pizza shape here. I'm gonna go back to just cutting triangles because again, this is the ultimate easy snowflake. Just like real snowflakes, no two cut snowflakes will look the same. So my students love doing this for some reason. They love seeing what their snowflake will end up looking like once they open it up. So I'm even cutting little shapes out of the top, my little triangles. Ugh, sometimes it's hard to get the little cut pieces off. Okay, and I'm just putting as many as I can. As many as I can fit, making sure that I leave space in between, okay? So now that I have this, you can open it up and see your snowflake. You want to be kind of gentle opening it up so you don't rip anything. But see? See how cool that came out? And it was super easy, right? Okay, now I'm going to show you how to do another one that's a little bit harder. Okay, so you can fold it back up if you want or keep it open. I'll put it to the side. So I'm going to grab another piece of paper and I'm going to start exactly the same way that I did before. I'm going to draw my circle in the middle, big one. You can of course make smaller snowflakes, but for the sake of showing you how to do it, I'm doing them really big. Okay. Then you cut it out. As you can see, I'm moving the paper and not my scissors. A lot of people try to cut like this, moving their scissors back and forth, but I keep my scissors in the same spot and I always just do this up and down with my scissors, and then I move my paper in order to get my cuts. That's kind of a trick, and it's safer that way so that you're not ever putting the blades towards yourself. Okay. My little trash out of the way. Okay, so now we have our circle. We're gonna do the same thing again to get to our like pizza slice shape. Fold it in half by kind of lining up this end with this edge with that edge as best you can. Fold it in half again, making sure these edges line up, holding it with your finger and then pressing it down. And then one more time. So you're gonna fold it 3 times, okay? So line up this edge. See how my 2 edges are lined up? When they're lined up, I hold it with my finger, I press down, and I press down that way, okay? So there's my little pizza slice. Now, for this part, since it's a little bit trickier, I'm gonna use my pen. You can use a pencil if you don't want it to be so dark. But I'm gonna use my pen to draw a little pattern that I will cut out of it, okay? So here's the point. I'm gonna draw a straight line up and a straight line up on this side. Then I'm gonna draw a line out towards the edge. And the same thing on the other side, because snowflakes are symmetrical, which means that whatever happens on one side happens on the other side as well, okay? It's like a mirror image on the other side. Then draw your angled line down. On the other side, your angled line down. And then trying to follow this same line so that it's as if like one straight line is going all the way up. You're gonna do a straight line up, straight line up. 2 more angled lines going out towards your edge. On this side too. A little bit more towards the top so that we can try to use this whole piece of paper that we worked so hard cutting out. And then you're going to draw kind of like a circular shape up at the top. Now, you want to cut out these sections. So if you feel like you might get confused, you can even kind of color it in or just make lines so that when you're cutting, you don't get confused, okay? This would happen all the time with my students where they would cut out the wrong spots, and it's an easy mistake to make. So if you want, you can just color or make lines in the sections that I'm making lines in, okay? So that you can remember when you're cutting not to cut any part that's just white, okay? You only want to cut the parts that have your lines. Okay? These sections here are the ones that you want to cut away, okay? So once you have this, I'll leave it there for a second in case you need to catch up on the areas to make darker. Now you're going to cut all those sections away. Okay, so I usually start with the bottom, but you don't have to. You can start with whatever you want. And be careful because you're cutting through several pieces of paper since it's folded, okay? So it's gonna be a little bit harder to cut, okay? So just do your best. Again, as you can see, I'm rotating my paper, not my scissors. My scissors are always kind of in the same direction. You might have to pull your paper off if it doesn't just fall away. I think I'm pressing down so hard that I literally just broke my scissors. Look at this, guys. Wow. I promise it wasn't that hard. I think I just really put these scissors to good use. Okay. That could be a blooper, but I'm leaving it. I have another pair of scissors handy always. Okay, so where was I? Okay. So this part here is tricky to cut since I cut this line. Look, I'm just twisting my paper and then I'm cutting up. Okay, I didn't move my scissors at all, right? I'll show you again on this side. You cut this line. You cut this line. And then you rotate your paper. Look, my scissors are still in there. You rotate your paper. It might feel a little bit like a resistance. And then you cut this way. See? That's why this one's a little bit harder than just cutting the regular triangles, because it's a little bit harder to get around some of these angles. But this is amazing cutting practice. If you can cut snowflakes, you can cut anything. Okay, so see, I'm rotating my paper. My scissors are basically in the same direction. I'm rotating it to get around that circular shape. Now I can straighten it back out to go straight again. And you can either rotate your paper this way to cut, or you can adjust your snowflake and just go like this to cut that edge. Okay? So here we go. Here's my favorite part. I love the reveal. So you just kind of open it up. Actually, first let me just make sure that you guys... Okay, so this is what it should look like when you cut it out, okay? And then when you open it up, it looks really cool. This is one of my favorite ones. See how cool? Amazing. That one looks like a real snowflake. Okay, so I'm gonna fold it back up. And I will show you one more, which is even harder than the one that we just did. But it starts out exactly the same way, which you guys should know by now how to do it. You draw your circle. Or if you can just cut a circle without drawing it, that's fine too. You cut out your circle. Rotating your paper. Throw away your trash. Okay, fold it once. Lining up your edges. Twice. And our third time to get that pizza shape. Okay. Now grab your pen again, because this one is going to be another one that we sort of draw first, okay? So this one is the most complicated just because there's more to cut, okay? So what we're going to do, you're going to start with two little angled lines like this, almost as if you're going to start to draw an arrow. A line up a line up. Now this one, you're going to draw a line all the way to the edge, kind of like how we started out the other one. A line all the way to the edge, kind of angled if you want. Another line on that side. The rest of the lines are not going to reach all the way to the edge though, okay? So instead of going all the way to the edge, you're just gonna kind of draw like a rounded shape like that. This one you're gonna do a rounded shape. Straight up, straight up. And then at the top, you're gonna do a rounded shape like that. Kind of like a big upside down U. And then on this side, the same thing. Okay, that's gonna be the end of your snowflake. Okay, so I'll leave this here for a second. Oh, again, if we wanna do our trick of kind of coloring in the sections that you cut, let me shade those areas in for you so that you guys can. Okay. So I just kind of draw lines. You don't have to take the time to like color in the entire area, just enough to let you know when you're cutting what areas you don't want to mess with. So it's not the prettiest, it's not straight lines at all. Don't worry about how that part looks, obviously. Okay. So this is what it will look like before you start cutting. Most of it will be cut away, okay? But make sure that at least these two sections go all the way to the end. Otherwise, it's going to be a little bit of a mess. Okay, and I can show you actually at the end what happens when you cut off the edges. Okay, let's cut. Okay, so this one's a little trickier to cut, especially because of this angle here. This one's really hard to cut. So put your scissors in there, twist your paper, and cut up towards that line, okay? And then it should just fall away. If you want to start with this angle instead, you totally can. Go down, twist all the way up. Now you can do these with the little scissors too. I probably should have so that you could see that you don't need these gigantic scissors to do this. I promise I've made these before with the little scissors, the school scissors. You just don't have as much blade towards the edge. Okay, a lot of times you just have to kind of pull it away once you kind of make that cut, if it doesn't just fall away. Okay. Your hand might be hurting a little bit because it is hard to cut through all these layers of paper. I agree. But this one's actually gonna look really cool at the end. Have you guys ever seen a snowflake in real life? They're so amazing. If you look at them up close, they're all different. It's really very cool. All right, so this is what it looks like before we open it. Here's my favorite part, the amazing reveal. Try to open this one carefully because it has a lot of delicate edges. There we go, look how cool that one is. Very delicate, very cool, definitely looks like a snowflake, right? Very cool. Now, let me just show you quickly what happens, because if this happens to you, I want to show you what it is that you're doing incorrectly, just so you don't get so frustrated, okay? So I'm going to take one that we just did, okay? So this is the one that we did correctly. Remember, we kind of opened it up and it looked really cool. Now, what happens if you accidentally cut the edges? Okay, I'm just going to cut them off. you guys don't have to do this. Actually, please don't, because then you're going to ruin your beautiful snowflakes. But I just want to show you what happens. So if you accidentally cut all the edges, what's going to happen when you open your snowflake? Instead of having a snowflake that is all together, oh, that's a fail. 2 fails in one video. Okay, well, it actually, this one still does work. Let's see if I can disprove my theory. Say that you also cut off the bottom. It better work. Watch it still be a snowflake. Okay. So if when you open your snowflake and it is not a snowflake, it is instead just different cut sections of paper like this, it just means that you cut too much, okay? You need to make sure that when you're cutting, you leave the edges intact, okay? So get out of there, we don't want that. Now, you can do all different sorts of shapes, okay? I'm just gonna show you a few other snowflakes that I did before this video. For example, this one. It's just kind of random. I just kind of cut random, okay? And let's do the reveal. See, it looks cool. It only has 4 sections, but it still looks pretty cool. How about this one? This one, I made sure that I left this part intact, but I cut like little sections out of it. This one almost came out more like a spider web, but it still looks cool, right? So it's just kind of a lot of fun just seeing like what different types of snowflakes you'll come up with, okay? This is one that it almost looks like a pine tree or a Christmas tree. And then when you open it up, it looks pretty cool. I got the hole there or the circle there by kind of cutting the very end of it. So see how this isn't pointy anymore? I just kind of cut that part, and then when you open it up, it has like the little circle in it, okay? So the most fun part is just kind of experimenting and seeing what you kind of come up with at the very end, okay? But it all starts with that circle that you kind of cut or fold 3 times in order to get your little pizza slice, okay? So good luck, you guys. This is one of the most fun projects and just easy things that you can do. Make sure you pick up your mess, all your scraps of paper, so that your family or your teachers don't get mad at you for making such a huge mess. But have fun, you guys, okay? Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you back here soon. Bye! If you guys liked making art with me today, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of my new videos. Hope to see you back here again soon.